Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. This morning we'll be in Genesis, chapter 8, verse 1 through chapter 10, verse 32. Immediately after the flood. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and domestic animals that were with him in the ark. God caused a wind to blow over the earth, and the waters receded. The fountains of the deep and the floodgates of heaven were closed, and the rain stopped falling from the sky. The waters kept receding steadily from the earth, so that they had gone down by the end of the 150 days. On the 7th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on one of the mountains of Ararat. The waters kept on receding until the 10th month. On the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains became visible. At the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven. It kept flying back and forth until the waters had dried up on the earth. Then Noah sent out a dove to see if the waters had receded from the surface of the ground. The dove could not find a resting place for its feet, because water still covered the surface of the entire earth, and so it returned to Noah in the ark. He stretched out his hand, took the dove, and brought it back into the ark. He waited 7 more days, and then sent out the dove again from the ark. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there was a freshly plucked olive leaf in its beak. Noah knew that the waters had receded from the earth. He waited another 7 days and sent the dove out again, but it did not return to him this time. In Noah's 601st year, in the first day of the first month, the waters had dried up from the earth, and Noah removed the covering from the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. And by the 27th day of the 2nd month, the earth was dry. Then God spoke to Noah and said, "Come out of the ark, you, your wife, your sons, and your sons' wives with you. Bring out with you all the living creatures that are with you. Bring out every living thing, including the birds, animals, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. Let them increase and be fruitful and multiply on the earth." Noah went out along with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives. Every living creature, every creeping thing, every bird, and everything that moves on the earth went out of the ark in their groups. Noah built an altar to the Lord. He then took some of every kind of clean animal and clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled the soothing aroma and said to himself, "I will never again curse the ground because of humankind, even though the inclination of their minds is evil from childhood on. I will never again destroy everything that lives as I have just done. While the earth continues to exist, planting time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, and day and night will not cease." Then God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth. Every living creature of the earth and every bird of the sky will be terrified of you. Everything that creeps on the ground and all the fish of the sea are under your authority. You may eat any moving thing that lives. As I gave you the green plants, I now give you everything. But you must not eat meat with its life, that is, its blood in it. For your lifeblood I will surely exact punishment. From every living creature I will exact punishment. From each person I will exact punishment for the life of the individual, since the man was his relative. Whoever sheds human blood, by other humans must his blood be shed. For in God's image God has made humankind. But as for you, be fruitful and multiply. Increase abundantly on the earth and multiply on it." God said to Noah and his sons, "Look, I now confirm my covenant with you and your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, including the birds, the domestic animals, and every living creature of the earth with you, all those that came out of the ark with you, every living creature of the earth. I confirm my covenant with you. Never again will all living things be wiped out by the waters of a flood. Never again will a flood destroy the earth." And God said, "This is the guarantee of the covenant I am making with you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all subsequent generations. I will place my rainbow in the clouds, and it will become a guarantee of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth, and the rainbow appears in the clouds, then I will remember my covenant with you and with all living creatures of all kinds. Never again will the waters become a flood and destroy all living things. When the rainbow is in the clouds, I will notice it, and remember the perpetual covenant between God and all living creatures of all kinds that are on the earth. So God said to Noah, This is the guarantee of the covenant that I am confirming between me and all living things that are on the earth. The sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now Ham was the father of Canaan. These were the sons of Noah, and from them the whole earth was populated. Noah, a man of the soil, began to plant a vineyard. When he drank some of the wine, he got drunk and uncovered himself inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness, and told his two brothers who were outside. Shem and Japheth took the garment and placed it on their shoulders. They then walked in backwards and covered up their father's nakedness. Their faces were turned the other way, so they did not see their father's nakedness. When Noah awoke from his drunken stupor, he learned what his youngest son had done to him. So he said, Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves he will be to his brothers. He also said, Worthy of praise is the Lord, the God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem. May God enlarge Japheth's territory in numbers. May he live in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his slave. After the flood, Noah lived 350 years. The entire lifetime of Noah was 950 years, and then he died. This is the account of Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Sons were born to them after the flood. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan were Elisha, Tarshish, the Kittim, and the Dodanim. From these, the coastlands of the nations were separated into their lands, every one according to its language, according to their families, by their nations. The sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabzekah. The sons of Ramah were Sheba and Dedan. Cush was the father of Nimrod. He began to be a valiant warrior on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The primary regions of his kingdom were Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar. From that land he went to Assyria, where he built Nineveh, Rehoboth-ir, Calah, and Rezin, which is between Nineveh and the great city Calah. Mizraim was the father of the Ludites, Anamites, Lehabites, Naphtuhites, Pathrasites, Caslahites, from whom the Philistines came, and Caphtorites. Canaan was the father of Sidon, his firstborn, Heth, the Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites, Arkites, Sinites, Arvadites, Zemarites, and Hamathites. Eventually the families of the Canaanites were scattered, and the borders of Canaan extended from Sidon all the way to Gerar, as far as Gaza, and all the way to Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, as far as Lasha. These are the sons of Ham, according to their families, according to their languages, by their lands, and by their nations. And sons were also born to Shem, the older brother of Japheth, the father of all the sons of Eber. The sons of Shem were Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram were Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah was the father of Eber. 2 sons were born to Eber. One was named Peleg, because in his days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan was the father of Almadad, Sheleph, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. Their dwelling place was from Mesha all the way to Sephar in the eastern hills. These are the sons of Shem, according to their families, according to their languages, by their lands, and according to their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, according to their genealogies, by their nations, and from these the nations spread over the earth after the flood. Yeah, so you have God remembering Noah after the period of the flood, and the ark coming to rest on dry ground after a period of, I think, 150 days. And then you have this incident of I guess it was Ham, who uncovered his father's nakedness, and Shem and Japheth, who restored their father's dignity, and then a genealogy of the sons of Noah. So, what do we have here? God remembered Noah. This is an anthropomorphism, a non-literal picture of God in human terms we can understand. Certainly God never forgot Noah, sustaining him every day on the ark. But at this point, God again turned his active attention toward Noah. It was truly as if he remembered Noah again. Noah had been shut up in the ark for many a day, and at the right time, God thought of him, practically thought of him, and came to visit him. Dear heart, you have been shut out from the world for many days, but God has not forgotten you. God remembered Noah, and he remembers you. From Spurgeon. The fountains of the deep and the windows of heaven were also stopped. The rain that began in Genesis 7:11 through 12 was now stopped. God was in control of when the rain and other waters began and when they stopped. Yeah. It's interesting. I wonder, throughout Scripture, you have God being in control of the waters of the earth. That is, you have, through God's power, the Great Sea being split. Through God's power, the Jordan being split. Through God's power, splitting the Jordan multiple times. And when Jesus came, controlling the wind and the waves, and even walking on the water. Here you also have God controlling the waters, making them recede and bringing out of there the people under his protection. At the end of 40 days, this was counted from the time when the rain and other water sources began. God told Noah when to go into the ark, but he did not tell him when he should come out again. The Lord told Noah when to go in, for it was necessary for him to know that, but he did not tell him when he should come out, for it was unnecessary that he should know that. God always lets his people know what is practically for their good. Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. Genesis 6:16 describes the window that was to be made in the upper portion of the ark. The window was also made with some kind of covering that could be closed and opened. Because he believed in God, therefore he removed the covering of the ark and looked abroad, expecting by and by to see not only the tops of the mountains, but also a dry and green earth once more. True faith often goes to the window. If your faith turns her face to the wall and expects nothing, I do not think it is genuine faith. In the 601st year of Noah's life, says that Genesis 7:11 through 13 says that Noah entered the ark on the 17th day of the second month of the 600th year of his life. This is almost a full year later, and in the second month of his 601st year, Noah left the ark. It seems he was in the ark a full calendar year. Wow. Long time to stay in there. Then Noah built an altar. Noah's first act after leaving the ark was to worship God through sacrifice. His gratitude and admiration of God's greatness led him to worship God. Took of every clean animal and every clean bird. As is the nature of true sacrifice, this was a costly offering unto God. With only 7 of each animal on the ark, Noah risked extinction by sacrificing some of these animals, but costly sacrifice is pleasing to God. The sacrifices we are called to offer to God should also cost us something. We should present our bodies as a living sacrifice to God. The giving of our resources is a sacrifice, and we should give the sacrifice of praise to God. Costly sacrifice pleases God not because God is greedy and wants to get as much from us as he can, but because God himself sacrificed at great cost. God wants costly sacrifice from us because it shows we are being conformed into the image of Jesus, who is the greatest display of costly sacrifice. As Paul wrote in Ephesians 5:2, we should be like Jesus in this regard, and walk in love, as Christ also has loved us and given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling aroma. May we think like David, who said he would never offer to God that which cost me nothing. I will never again curse the ground for man's sake. God promised to never again visit the earth with judgment by flood on the scale, to destroy every living thing. God did this, understanding that the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. This was a promise full of mercy. We may observe a strange combination of truths. First, that the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. And second, God's promise to never again curse the ground for man's sake. It would seem that man's evil would invite God's curse, not put it away. This strange combination is accounted for by Noah's altar and sacrifice, and God's pleasure in the sacrifice. The sacrifice is the turning point. Without a sacrifice, sin clamors for vengeance, and God sends a destroying flood. But the sacrifice presented by Noah was typical of the coming sacrifice of God's only begotten Son, and of the effectual atonement therein provided for human sin. Yeah, that is, this sacrifice that Noah offered was a type of the sacrifice to come in Jesus. You shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. God also commanded Noah that if animals were killed and eaten, there must be a proper respect for the blood, which represents the life principle in the animal. The respect for blood isn't based on mysticism or superstition, but simply because blood represents the life of the being. Whether animal or human, when blood is poured out, life is poured out. By man his blood shall be shed, means because life is valuable. When murder is committed, the death penalty is in order. In its original languages, the Bible makes a distinction between killing and murder. Not all killing is murder, because there are cases where there is just cause for killing. Self-defense, capital punishment with due process of law, killing in a just war. There are other instances where killing is accidental. This is killing, but not murder. Never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. God did not believe he did something wrong or too harsh in the flood. He made the promise because he did things in the post-flood world to guarantee that the exact evil conditions of the pre-flood world would never be precisely duplicated. Those things included the imprisonment of the angels who sinned with human women and shortening the lifespan of man. However, when things again become similar to the days of Noah, God will destroy the earth, but by fire, not by flood. Noah became uncovered in his tent. It may be Noah was abused sexually by one of his sons or relatives. The phrase became uncovered, and the idea of nakedness is something associated with sexual relations. He saw the nakedness of his father. Others think Ham's only sin here was in seeing Noah's drunk and uncovered state, and that he made fun of him, mocking him as a father and as a man of God. Literally, the ancient Hebrew says that Ham told with delight what he saw in his father's tent. He determined to mock his father and was undermining his authority as a man of God. Knew what his younger son had done to him. This seems to indicate that whatever happened to Noah, it was more than one of his sons or grandsons seeing his nudity. This explains the strength of his curse. Yeah. And then you have the genealogy here. The sons of Japheth. He was the father of the Indo-European peoples, those stretching from India to the shores of Western Europe. They are each linked by linguistic similarities that often seem invisible to the layman, but are much more obvious to the linguist. Gomer. From this son of Japheth came the Germanic peoples, from whom came most of the original peoples of Western Europe. These include the original French, Spanish, and Celtic settlers. Magog, Tubal, and Meshech. These settled in the far north of Europe and became the Russian peoples. Madai. From this son of Japheth came the ancient Medes, and they populated what are now Iran and Iraq. The peoples of India also came from this branch of Japheth's family. Javan. From this son of Japheth came the ancient Greeks, whose seafaring ways are described in Genesis 10:15. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Repheth, and Togarmah. From this son of Gomer came the people who settled north of Judea into what we call the Fertile Crescent. Togarmah. From this son of Gomer came the Armenians. The sons of Javan were. Geographic names that spring from these names in this chapter abound. Linguists have no trouble seeing the connection between Kittim and Cyprus, Rhodonim and Rhodes, Gomer and Germany, Meshech and Moscow, Tubal and Tobolsk. Everyone according to his language, according to their families and to their nations. These divisions of mankind developed into language, genetic families, and ethnic divisions. Ham. The descendants of Ham are the peoples who populated Africa in the Far East. Cush, apparently this family divided into two branches early. Some founded Babylon, notably Nimrod, and others founded Ethiopia. Mizraim. This is another way the Bible refers to Egypt. Put refers to Libya, the region of North Africa west of Egypt. Canaan refers to the people who originally settled the land we today think of as Israel and its surrounding regions. Cush begot Nimrod. One son of Cush, worthy of note, is Nimrod. He was a mighty one on the earth, but not in a good way. He ruled over Babel, which was the first organized rebellion of humans against God. The name Nimrod itself means, let us rebel. Like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord, the context shows that this is not a compliment of Nimrod. The idea is that Nimrod was an offense before the face of God. This is not talking about Nimrod's ability to hunt wild game. He was not a hunter of animals. He was a hunter of men, a warrior. It was through his ability to fight and kill and rule ruthlessly that his kingdom of the Euphrates Valley city-states was consolidated. Ginsburg quotes from a Jewish legend. The great success that attended all of Nimrod's undertakings produced a sinister effect. Men no longer trusted in God, but rather in their own prowess and ability, an attitude to which Nimrod tried to convert the whole world. Children were born also to Shem. From Shem comes Elam, who was an ancestor of the Persian peoples. Asher, who was the father of the Assyrians. Lud was the father to the Lydians, who lived for a time in Asia Minor, and Aram was the father to the Arameans, who we also known as the Syrians. Arphaxad was the ancestor of Abram in the Hebrews. Uz, later region in Arabia, was named after the son of Aram. Job came from the land of Uz. These were the families of the sons of Noah according to their generations, and their nations, and from these nations, the nations were divided on the earth after the flood. Hence, one must consider this chapter of Genesis a mirror in which to discern that we human beings are, namely, creatures so marred by sin that we have no knowledge of our own origin, not even of God himself, our Creator, unless the Word of God reveals these sparks of divine light to us from afar. This knowledge the Holy Scriptures reveal to us. Those who are without them, This knowledge the Holy Scriptures reveals to us. Those who are without them live in error, uncertainty, and boundless ungodliness, for they have no knowledge about who they are and whence they came. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you have a great day. Bye.